Hello, my name's Stephen Carr, and I'd like to welcome you to a Photoshop cooking class. In this class, what I'd like to do is create backgrounds for PowerPoint. So I've started a new file and calling it Carr Background. Size is 10.5 inches by 7 inches with a resolution of 72 pixel inches. The 10.5 by 7 is our PowerPoint format. So this is we discussed in class, selecting formats and how important it is. So just click OK, and I have a white background now, so I'm going to add a new background. With this new background, I'm going to work with my gradient tool, and for the gradient tool, make sure your colors are set up. I like to work with the black and white to start with. Gradient tool, if you don't see a gradient tool, look, it should be underneath your paint bucket. So I'm just going to click from left to right, and then with my marquee box I'm just going to select a smaller area inside here, and with this smaller area here, again I'm going to go back to my gradient tool and I'm going to drag it from right to left. This gives us our basic gradients that I like to work with a little bit, and I need to get rid of the marquee box, so I'll just select and deselect. So it's always a good idea to duplicate layers because you may have trouble with it. I can just rename that gradient. This way, if something happens and you don't like what you've done, you can always go back to the original. So I'll just right click on this and duplicate my layer, and I'll just call this gradient, and then I'll say brush. So for the brushes, I'm just going to open up my, I can use my brushes here. I can set my brushes here, which is fine. But if I look at my brushes from here under my Windows menu, you'll see that we can set a spacing for our brush. So we can have very heavy, or we can set a spacing. Set an angle, and then with this, I'll just close this now. I can just do a simple little brushing across the bottom. My opacity set to about 20%, and that's just a couple is all you need to do, and this just gives you a nice little effect. So this sort of helps with breaking it up, making it look a little bit more unique. Now what I want to do is I'm going to duplicate the layer again. And by duplicating this layer again, now I'm going to just add an effect with it. And so I'll just say, not sure what effect I'm going to use just yet, so I'll just call it effect. And what I'll do now is I can go under filters and I can look at artistic. So you can see that there's quite a few different artistic styles. You can look at blur, brush, strokes, distortions, noise, pixelate, render. There's a sharpen, sketch, styles. So there's a lot of different areas that you can work with. So I'm just going to look at this crackle effect here under texture. So the crackle effect is a little hard to see what's going on here because it's just filled up the whole screen. I'm just going to you can see, hopefully you can see this a little bit. So I just click on OK, and this is the effect. It's a little bit hard because my recording area on the screen is not as large as when I clicked on the effects to see what's happening here. So now what we've done is we've created a few little effects here. And the cool part about this now is that I could add a different effect. I'll just click on a new layer, and with this new layer I'm going to look at doing what we call the cloud effect. So if I go into filters and I go into render, there is a cloud effect. So this is kind of cool. It's just a random pattern. You can change this by doing it again, just repeating it, and it just changes it. So if you're not happy with the first one you get, you can play with this cloud effect. So we'll just call this cloud. And so now we have another pattern that we could duplicate it. And I'll just so I'm just going to add a bit of brush effect to this. And it just gives you a little bit different effect. So I like to experiment, do 3 or 4 different things, and then when I find the one I want, then that's the one that I'll work with. Now we can also, with this one here, we could also do an effect with this one, so I can duplicate the layer again. So with this one here, maybe I would like to look at, if I go into my distortion, I can look at my glass effects. Again, everything is jumping out of proportion here on me, but I'll just set it up so that I'm happy with it. Say OK, and you have to experiment a little bit with it. Then you're creating, so you can see that we've created quite a few different effects here, and we haven't really done a lot of hard work. It's mostly letting Photoshop do the work for you. So now what I want to do here is everything is fine here. It's all basically black and white. So what I'm going to do now is create a new layer, and in this new layer I'm just going to set some colors here. So again, depending on what your color scheme is for your presentation, I can go in here and I can say select this, start in with a nice dark green, and then maybe select a lighter green here. Now I can go in and with my gradient tool I can just basically just run this across here, and this kind of gives me a little darker to lighter effect. But what I like to do with this though is I'd like to take my opacity and drop my opacity down. So by playing with my opacity now, I can create the effect. This is at about 80%. You can see that I have my cloud brush effect underneath there. If I turn that off, then that's just the cloud brush effect. If I turn that off, now I'm at the cloud effect. Now I'm at my gradient, and this is gradient with brush only, and this is just straight gradient. So you can see that I can actually have quite a few variations of the same thing. And again, you have to experiment with the different things to find the ones you like. So again, I'll just add another color here, and maybe I'll go into my blues. Maybe I need to create a blue background. Again, with my gradient tool, just drag it across here. And I can turn off this one underneath there, and again drop my opacity down. So now I just have the same idea, except for now I'm just looking at the different effects, and I've changed the colors. So it's very easy to find a background that you'd like to work with and just modify the colors. And now all you need to do from here is save your file as a Photoshop file, and then we also need to do File, and I'll just save this. So I'll just get into my work folder here. And I'll just save this as my Photoshop. And now I'll do the same thing, and I'll save it as a JPEG. Now we need to do this as a JPEG because we'll be using a JPEG format in PowerPoint. And the large format's fine. This is still a very small image, so that's fine. So I'll just say OK on that, and I hope you enjoy working with it. Experiment, have fun. Just remember though, if you don't like it, I probably won't like it either. So you need to work with something, find something you like. Take care. Thank you.